chaos in 2 out of 3 races. Formula 4. Now, let's recap. My name is Milan.
My name is Pia. I was not ready for this type of energy.
Intro.
Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Daily Race Show here at RacePlazaMedia. As you can tell by the intro, the Formula 4 races this weekend, the British Championship, were absolutely bonkers.
First things first, I am actually really excited because this is the first time when it comes to a Formula 4 championship that we watched all 3 races.
Yes, correct.
Which is usually a little bit more rare because usually there's like so much to watch,
Yeah.
which there was again this weekend, of course. But because none of the big series that we follow had and I say big series that take up a lot of time.
Yes.
Too, because like a Formula 1 race, for example, that's like a 2-hour event.
Commitment, yeah.
MotoGP is like an hour, and then it just like with life, it's just busy.
Yeah.
Because if life wasn't that busy, I would be watching a lot more endurance racing.
yes,
Because there was a endurance race this weekend. However, let's not talk about that.
No, we're talking about British Championship Formula 4. Also the exciting part this weekend, which I also of course have to point out, we had 6 women competing for the very first time, which was very exciting, and it was a lot of familiar faces.
Correct.
A lot of drivers that we're now more familiar with through the F1 Academy.
Correct.
And then of course previous British champion or F4 winner. She's won a race before,
Winner,
Abby
not
Pulling.
champion.
Winner.
Champion.
I mean, champion of a single race. She's a champion of our hearts.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, no, she's won a race already. The first woman, I believe, to ever win a British F4 race. So Abby Pulling was there again, of course, alongside many, many others, including like Bianca Bustamante, Carrie Schreiner, and
Aurelia. She's also in F4.
yeah,
Aurelia
Chloe
Nobles.
Chong. And yeah, so there was, I mean, it was really nice to see. They also have it's like a little bit of a mixed roster. They have the reoccurring people and then they have rookies.
Correct.
Which I don't remember if I've never seen it before or if this is a new thing, to be fair, but you could recognize them on the track by the yellow number plates compared to the white number plates for the recurring peoples. And it was kind of cool. It was a packed grid. I mean, 27 drivers, and I mean it's a lot.
Yeah, it is a lot, and you also have to keep in mind this is very, very common in especially the categories that don't have a international championship. So F4 doesn't have a international championship. It is always national. Of course you have people battling for the championship, but a lot of people, they are just joining to get some experience in there. So that's why you have people joining mid-season. So you have a lot of women all of a sudden now racing in there that didn't race the whole season, and we've had already a lot of races.
Yes, I mean, we're more than halfway through the British F4 championship
and
season.
There are some of them that are racing this weekend that have not raced in Formula 4 British Championship at all this season or ever.
Yeah.
And and you can also obviously then tell the difference in performance, because there's also some people who are doing significantly better because they also had more time to practice on this track than others. But let's get into it.
Yes.
I think, I'm going to be honest, I don't remember race 1 that much.
Yeah. I mean, granted, we did watch it spread out because it was a 20-minute race, which is nice. It's perfect bite size, and a lot happens during the races typically.
Yeah, there's a lot of overtaking.
Yeah.
And then we also watched Formula 4, the first race, so round 16, and then round 17 and round 18 hadn't been posted yet.
Yes.
On the channel. I think because also some of them hadn't happened yet. But
okay, first, you can watch it on YouTube. It's free on YouTube, so definitely check it out. 20 minutes of a race.
Easy.
Yes, there's some like pre-show and post-show stuff happening, or post-race, pre-race things, but you can just skip ahead if you just want to watch the race. And they have a commentator there also who's really great, giving you some great information.
And because I'm a real one, for this one time, I'll drop the links below for race 1, 2, and 3. So you guys don't even have to go looking for it. You just have to click at the description.
Yes, yeah, definitely check those out. It's definitely worth it. I mean, race two, we, I mean, so I had seen it online because we hadn't watched the race at that point. And there was this big kerfuffle at the beginning of the race, which I know, I love that word. But it ended up being deleted essentially, so you can't really watch it on the live stream of the race essentially anymore.
I guess because they did the race and there was an issue with the lights. I didn't look into it, who was at fault, if it was like a technical or it was a human failure, I don't know. But essentially the light went off, the light went on, and light went off, and then it went on again. So that means some people on track started racing and other people didn't. So it was a big kerfuffle.
Yes.
Or in German, Karambolage.
Karambolage, yes.
Which I don't think is a German word.
No, it's probably a French word.
Anyways, and so it ended up being completely red flag the race because no one really started. I do believe there was some damage, so there was a delay to the restart of the race. However, then the restart of that race, it was actually a very, very exciting race because that was also the reverse grid race.
Yes, exactly. It was the reverse order of the first race, and it was just such a fun race to watch. I mean, it can be, I find, a little bit overwhelming because there's so many drivers on the grid. I'm not familiar with many of them yet, or with their numbers and stuff like that. And it takes them a little while to get the lineup on the side of the screen. So just to have a little bit
because it's also obviously a much smaller operation than Formula 1.
Of course, like I mean, this is not a complaint. But yeah, so I feel like it can be a little bit overwhelming because there's also so many cars. So much is happening. Sometimes I also wish they had more like split screen actions because there's so much action happening all over the grid. But so race 1, before we officially get into more of race 2, Deegan Faircloth had won.
He had an insane weekend.
Yeah, I mean he's already been winning a bunch of races throughout the season. So he just
championship leader right now.
Yeah, exactly. So he built out his lead for that. And then in second came in the Australian Alex Ninovich, and then in third, which is also a rookie, is Martin Molnar. He came in third for the first race. So then the second race happened, and it was like I said, we had that weird start. There was lots of action happening on the track, of course, and which made me really exciting, Abby Pulling was racing in the front as well, which was nice to see. And there was a lot of fighting happening, especially there was a group of for the fourth place that was competing for quite some time. And then eventually Deegan, who's the championship leader that you had just mentioned, eventually was able to take the lead of that group, and he had clean air, so he just went for it.
He was so fast this weekend. And yeah, he fought his way all the way back from 12th place where he started all the way till third at the end.
Yeah.
And he got close to also catching Abby Pulling, even though I will say there was some actually great defending. Ella Lloyd, who ended up coming fifth, she actually fought against Deegan for quite a while, and as well as Jack Sherwood, who ended up coming fourth. So there was a lot of great battling, and the cool thing is because there is no DRS in Formula 4, so you have to use the slipstream. You have to, maybe like outbrake the other person and stuff like that. So it is, so it really gives those racers the fundamentals. So that's why you have a lot of rookies obviously participating and stuff like that. It gives them the fundamentals to move on to like later, classes where then there is a DRS, or there is a what is push to pass system or something like that.
Which is also kind of crazy that I think the youngest driver on the grid is 15 years old. 15.
I think it's the Swedish gentleman, right?
Oh man, I mean it's just bonkers that they're
August Raber.
I mean, it makes sense. They have to be that young to compete in Formula 4 to make it up to hopefully maybe one day F1, so it makes sense, but it's still kind of mind-boggling that they're 15 years old and they are competing in a single-seater Formula vehicle. But yeah, so Abby Pulling came in second. She was able to keep Deegan at a very close distance. I feel like if it would have been another lap or two, it might have gotten a little bit more dangerous for her.
Absolutely. She actually had really great first sector and third sector were really, really strong. But she said she was really struggling with the middle sector, and they couldn't figure out if it was the setup of the car or something like that. Because like her lap times, like at first I was also thinking maybe she'd be able to fight for first place, but there was something with her and struggling with that middle sector of the track that she just they just her team just couldn't figure out. So it ended up costing her a lot of time, and there was at the end like almost like a 4-second gap between first and second place. And then really big props to Alex Ninovic again, who ended up coming in first place and again finishing on the podium. So really awesome for him. I'm very excited.
Yes.
What I will also say before we get into a third race, it's also really interesting, for example, Deegan Fairclough, who's really dominating this championship. It would be interesting to see him, because this is now a name that we're familiar with.
Yes.
And that's a really exciting thing about Formula 4. In general, any Formula 4 that you watch, you will probably see a name, and then you will see this person racing in another.
In either another Formula 4 or a Formula Regional. Like now that we're watching more of the different ones, there's more names that pop up. I was like, oh wait, I've heard this name before.
And it is even across. So like, for example, you have Dorian Pin, who is competing in Freca at the moment. She's in F1 Academy, but she also does GT racing with the Iron Dames. Yeah. So she was supposed to race in Le Mans this year if she hadn't broken her rib. So it's really awesome to see all of these racers. You have Taylor Barnard, and bring this up. We watched him at the beginning of the year in Formula 4. Now you can see him racing in Formula 2, where he actually got his first sprint race win in Monaco. Out of all tracks. So really awesome. So once again, guys, check it out. I made it so easy. You guys just have to click the link.
Definitely check it out. But moving on to the third race, which we just literally watched, and Jesus, how crazy it was. I mean, it started off, normally this time. There was no false start or anything. The pack stayed together for the most part for the beginning of it, and then I think about 8 minutes into the race, you could see the leader, the first two were about 2 seconds away from the next section of the pack, but it wasn't too far, nothing too crazy, because in Formula 4, things can happen constantly just because they're so tight together. And then it happened. There was 12 minutes left in the race, and it was this big, what was it?
Kerfuffle.
Exactly. So, and then just quickly, then 6 drivers ended up, it was like it happened in 2 sections. It was the first group of 3, essentially, that 2 got together, and then a second set of 4 drivers.
Which was like the catalyst,
yes.
right? The one was the catalyst for 2, right?
Exactly.
So they kept saying that it was Kai who did an unsafe rejoin, but I don't think it was him, because he finished in 4th. So unless he unsafely rejoined and then was like, you guys figure out this mess behind me. But yeah, it was, I guess, we didn't see a lot of replays of it, and once again, you have to keep in mind they don't have like an angle for every single thing. Like they don't have like 3 cameras for each corner. There's a few, so you can see all of the racing. But so we didn't see a lot of replays. But essentially, someone unsafely rejoined, and then there was just a big carambolage. And then we had actually one of their drivers ended up getting injured. Nina Gardeman. I looked on her IG.
Oh, okay, good.
And she, it doesn't seem like she was like severely injured or anything like that, because we did see her stepping into the ambulance.
Yeah, she also seemed like she was, because we saw a bunch of the drivers just got out of the car. They moved out to the side just as usual, but then the ambulance came and I was like, what's going on here? But it could just be like a safety measure, because of course all of them have to get checked out, because that's just protocol. But then we saw her being walked to the ambulance, and I was like,
on track,
yeah, exactly. And then she was not moving quite as spry as, I don't know if it was maybe the shock, or I'm sure she got thrown around in that vehicle like crazy. So
based on what I've seen on IG, it doesn't look like it, but the post might have also been from after race 1, because she was talking about what the expectations were going into this weekend, because she was talking about how she hadn't had a lot of experience, or she didn't have a lot of track time, especially that she got also on a dry track because there was rain this weekend. She was mentioning that she did the most that she could, but I didn't see any post about her being like severely injured or anything.
So,
like
well,
that,
we
so.
hope at least that she's
Yeah.
doing fine, that it was just maybe the shock of the moment and she's maybe feeling a little bit sore, which is completely understandable, but that she'll be fit to rejoin races very soon. But overall, I mean, so that whole kerfuffle happened, and then we did have a safety car come out for a couple of minutes because several of the cars, of course, had to be removed out of the gravel. The good thing was the section of the track where it happened, there was some exits right there where they can more or less quickly remove the vehicles. But then once the race restarted, it's restarted with the safety car because it had ended with the safety car. So they did a safety car restart. And then I was so excited because Abby Pulling was in the top 10 again. And I mean, she wasn't in podium contention necessarily, but it was still some time to go. And like I've mentioned, anything could happen. However, something happened with her car and she suddenly started just slowing down. And then she ended up coming in 20th. So she still ended up finishing the race, but it was just such a bummer to see, with especially just like 3 minutes to go or
because,
so.
Maxwell Dodds, he also had an issue right after the restart, so he had to pull off. The terrible thing for him is that he completely ended up DNFing. So we had at the end we had 6 people. Yeah, 6 people, like you said, that did not finish.
Yeah.
So very, very unfortunate for those people.
Yeah.
We did, however, have some, once again, Deegan Fairclough just dominating in the front.
Yes.
We have Jack, who finished the second race in 4th place. He ended up coming 3rd. We had Reza finishing in 2nd place. And then we had Martin, the rookie, back in the top 5, finishing in 5th place, which is really, really awesome. And then there's also Ella, who did really well in the second race. She finished 7th, and then we have Bianca, who finished in 8th.
Oh, that's amazing! I didn't even realize that. That's awesome.
She snigged her way in.
Yeah, because she was for a good chunk of the race, she was closer to like 20th.
I think she actually, really capitalized on that restart.
Perfect. I
So
mean, that's
good for her.
that's what they're there for.
And it's also really awesome because it's just cool to see these young drivers getting all that experience, and because I'm sure this will also then translate into her driving at the F1 Academy.
Yeah, I mean,
and
it's
stuff
just
like
also
that.
more time in the car, more time on a track, more time working with the team and talking post and pre-race, because there's so much you can take away from it. I'm sure. I'm not talking from experience. I'm just talking about from my imagination.
Yeah, and it's also like give these young drivers exposure. See, hopefully they'll be able to get some sponsors.
Yeah.
Especially if you're racing at that level, you might even be able to get some local sponsors. Some people, in the city that you grew up with or a little town that you grew up with, maybe there's like a business who wants to support you, because I'm sure if someone contributes maybe $10,000,
That's a lot.
That takes
it helps.
you a far way, because you have to pay for your driver, for your coach. You have to pay for traveling and all that stuff. Like, none of that is covered.
Yeah.
None of that is even covered in Formula 2. Like, all of those drivers have to pay for all of that out of pocket.
Which is bonkers. It's
So
crazy.
you pay for your coach, you pay for your flying and stuff like that. All of that comes out of all of your travel,
Yeah.
So, like, all of that comes out of your own pocket. So, once again, racing is really, really expensive. So it's awesome that you have these rookie or these F4 championships that are still existing. I would love for them to bring back the Germany one, so the ADAC.
Yes.
Because that, I think the last one was like 2 or 3 years ago, and then they kind of ended that one. So I hope they would bring that in, because like let's do some more racing.
I'm down for it.
Anyways, you guys let us know if you guys watched it. What do you guys' thoughts were on the races, and what else you guys watched? As always, let us know in the comments.
Yes, and we'll most likely be live streaming the Indy race this weekend.
Yep.
Yes, I think they're racing in Canada this weekend, so we will be live streaming a hangout session. We're still fairly new to Indy, so this is gonna be nice for us to really watch it, because we've watched maybe like 1.5, 2.5 other Indy races.
The Indy 500, but this year there was so many. It was so often red flag.
Yes.
So it wasn't really a good viewing experience.
And then there was just recently, or this past weekend, was this big accident in Indy as well.
What a consistency! So you had that many red flags during the
Indy 500.
Indy 500, and then 7 hour of safety car procedure during
Le Mans. Yes,
ideal.
yes.
Anyway.
But we did sit through that one.
We did sit through that
but yeah,
one.
so join us this weekend. We're going to do a watch party. Of course, we can't live stream the race, as you know, but we're here to hang out with you guys if you want to watch and just have a buddy to chat with.
And then on Thursday, as always, we also bring out our video about everything that you can watch racing related this upcoming weekend. So
Yes.
make sure to tune in for that.
But
And
if you don't want to wait till Thursday, just check out our calendar on our website, RacePlazaMedia.com, where we post all the races that are happening.
plugging everything today.
Yeah, where you can find all the...
It's free.
Yeah, it's free,
You don't
literally.
have to sign up for anything. You just look at it.
Yeah.
And then you click on the link where you watch the race.
Exactly. Links to the series, links to the different streaming opportunities. So, and it's, yeah, we do it all for free just for you guys because we know how difficult it can be to be a racing fan, to get that information. Like, guys, why are they making it so
Why
difficult?
are you hiding it?
Ugh.
The first 3 things I should be able to see on your website, this
Yeah.
is how you know I'm German, is the like the next race,
Yeah.
you know, maybe championship standing, and then where can I freaking watch it,
Yes.
you know?
So we got it covered. So check out our website, RacePlazaMedia.com. We'll see you on Sunday for the Indy race.
And we'll see you Thursday watching the video, in the comments letting us know what you'll be watching.
Exactly,
Us.
exactly.
And then as always, like and subscribe. Thank you guys so much for
thank
tuning in.
you so much.
Mucho kiss. Mwah.
Bye.
Bye.
Dare you use my...